Hi, I'm Tamara, and today I am going to be walking you through all of the steps that you need to know so that you can make some fun, adorable scrunchies. It's a super easy beginner sewing project, so stick around. Alright, so as always, I will link to the measurements down in the description down below, and of course I will show them throughout this video as well. All you'll need is some fabric, an elastic, and a sewing machine and thread. So one thing I would like to mention about the scrunchies themselves is if this is your first scrunchie that you are ever making, I would suggest using cotton fabric. The reason for cotton fabric is because it's stiffer, so it'll hold its shape a little bit more when you actually have to do the sewing and putting this project together. Once you've made yourself your one cotton scrunchie, then go right ahead and try out other fabrics to see what type of scrunchies you enjoy making. All right, so let's jump into that tutorial. All right, so the first thing you'll need to do is take your piece of fabric and cut it at 24 inches by 3.5 inches, and then fold it in half with the right sides facing in, and then of course pin all the way across that open edge. Now I like to use these little clips instead of actual pins, so if you're interested in these, definitely check out the description down below and I will have them linked down there. They are one of my favorite sewing tools. Once everything is clipped, then just mark on either side of the tube about 2.5 to 3 inches in, and that section you will not sew. For myself, I like to mark this just with my clips, but if you want, you could easily mark this with a pen, as you will not be seeing this when the finished product is done. And then take it to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way along the top. If you're more comfortable with a 1/2 inch seam, you can do that easily as well. And then of course just minus those 2 outer edge markings. Oh, and don't forget to backstitch when you start and when you finish. Once you've created your tube, then it's time to turn it right side out. I like to use my easy point and turner for this, but you can easily just use your fingers and turn it right side out as well. Again, I will also link to this easy point and turner in the description down below if you're interested. Now that our tube is right side out, it's time to attach those ends together. So make sure that you fold it in half and just add the right sides together so you can see those wrong sides facing out, and then just clip or pin along that top edge and sew along that seam again at 1/4 to 1/2 inch all the way along, remembering to backstitch when you start and when you finish. All right, so now that we have created our tube, it's time to add our elastic. Now for our elastic, I will be cutting my elastic at 5.5 inches. However, it really does depend on the type of hair that the person wearing the scrunchie has. So for myself, my hair is quite fine, so to be able to use my scrunchie and twist it twice, 5.5 inches is the perfect length for me. But if somebody has thicker hair, you may want to cut your scrunchie at 6.5 to 7 inches in length. So just keep that into consideration when you're making your scrunchie. Now the next step is putting that elastic through our nice little tube. So what you'll do is you'll attach a safety pin to one end of your elastic, and then take the other end of your elastic and just clip it to the opening. That way when you start feeding that elastic on throughout the tube, you don't lose the other end of your elastic and have to look for it later. So just start feeding that safety pin on through that tube until you get it to the other side. And then it's time to attach both of those ends together. You can do that by just tying a double knot, which is something that I like to do because it makes it easy. Or you could try to sew both ends of the elastic together. By doing that, just clip the elastics in place and then lay them over at about 1/2 inch to a full inch. And then take it on over to the sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch across that piece. The reason for the zigzag stitch is so that when the elastic stretches, it will stretch with the thread. If you do a straight seam, then the elastic will not have the same ability to do that stretching. All right, so now that the elastic has been secured in place, it's time to take that opening over to your iron, and both edges of your opening, just fold them in at 1/4 inch and iron those flat. The reason why you want to iron these flat is that way when you take it to your sewing machine to sew along that outer edge to close this opening, it will be so much easier. Once you've ironed in both of those edges, then pin those 2 folds in place. Take it to your sewing machine and sew that opening shut, just going as close to the edge as you possibly can, remembering to do a back stitch on both ends. And that, my friends, is everything that you need to know to make your very own scrunchies. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you're interested in making other types of scrunchies, I do have a tutorial that shows you how to make these fun party scrunchies, so definitely check that tutorial out. As always, if you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want more fun beginner sewing projects. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye!